What's up everyone, my name is Empath, and today I'm going to be breaking down the 17 different traits that we have seen so far from Starfield, and I'm going to be trying to help you decide which ones you should choose when we start playing Starfield here in just under 2 weeks. If you are hyped for Starfield, please like and comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Starfield content like this in the future. So just as a quick reminder of how traits will work in Starfield, you can select up to 3 of them when you're creating your character. They are completely optional, you do not have to pick any at all. Every single trait in the game will come with an advantage and a disadvantage as well. Certain specific traits cannot be combined with others, for example introvert and extrovert, and there is a way to remove traits if you find out that you don't like them during your game. Alrighty, so heading over to Games Radar, we're going to go through all the 17 different traits that we've seen revealed so far, and I'll be breaking them down and helping you decide which ones you should choose when we start playing Starfield. Start off with the first trait, we have alien DNA. The description for this trait reads, you volunteered for a controversial experiment that combines alien and human DNA. As a result, you start with a higher health pool and greater endurance, but healing items aren't as effective. So this one could be a good trait if you're really going for like a tank build. You will have that higher health pool and greater endurance, which allows you to take more damage and gives you that greater stamina so that you can run longer. But with the con being healing items are less effective, this means yes, you can take more damage, but you're gonna have to use more med packs to heal yourself. So if you don't have a problem carrying more med packs on you, then this shouldn't be an issue. Next up, we have the Dream Home trait, which was originally called the Starter Home trait. You own a small house on a peaceful little moon, but it comes with a $50,000 credit mortgage with Gal Bank. So this one's pretty funny because you will start out with a house already, which Bethesda did say in a recent Q&A that you would be able to buy homes in the major cities in Starfield. However, this home you start with is not free. You have to pay a $50,000 credit mortgage to Gal Bank, and I assume if you don't pay those mortgages, they'll probably just take that house right back. So if you want a nice little house to start off with, then you should try this one out, but if you're worried about not being able to do the payments, then don't try this one. Next, we have the Empath trait. You are deeply connected to the feelings of others. Performing actions your companion likes will result in a temporary increase in combat effectiveness, but performing actions they don't like will have the precise opposite effect. So pros and cons for this Empath trait are performing actions your companion likes creates temporary increase to your combat effectiveness, and the con being performing actions your companion dislikes creates a temporary decrease in combat effectiveness. So this one's pretty interesting. I personally will not be trying this one out myself. It just sounds a little too risky for me. I feel like I'll always be walking on eggshells trying to not do any actions that my companion doesn't like, because then I'll get hit with a decrease in my combat effectiveness. But if you're not worried about doing anything negative around your companion, then this one would probably work well for you. And next up, we have the Extrovert trait. You're a people person. Exerting yourself uses less oxygen when adventuring with human companions, but more when adventuring alone. Cannot be combined with introvert, obviously. So this one's pretty straightforward. When you're with human companions, so cannot be with a robot companion. When with human companions, you use less oxygen, but then when you're by yourself, you use more oxygen. So again, this is another one where if you know you're always going to be adventuring with a companion, I would probably say use this one. However, with my playthrough, I know that I probably will not be with a companion a lot of the time, so I definitely will not be using this trait. And definitely keep in mind while we're going through these traits here, which ones you would want to pair together. For example, this one would probably work well with the last one if you know you're always going to be with a companion. Next up, we have the Freestar Collective Settler trait. You gain access to special Freestar Collective dialogue options and better rewards from some missions given by the faction, but crime bounty towards other factions is greatly increased. Can't be combined with any other faction allegiance trait. So the pros of this trait are access to special Freestar Collective dialogue options and better faction rewards, and the cons are crime bounties towards other factions are greatly increased. So if you know for sure that you will be joining the Freestar Collective faction in your playthrough, then this trait is definitely the one for you. I'll be using this trait 100% because this is the main faction that I'll be joining, and the fact that it gives you special dialogue options and better rewards, that's really huge. That totally changes your gameplay. But then on the flip side, it gives you increased crime bounties towards the other factions. Me personally, I'm not really worried about those increased bounties because I'm already planning on having a pretty strong character. Plus, that actually sounds pretty cool to me. If it makes it more of a challenge, then I'm all game. So if you know you're going to be joining the Freestar Collective, then definitely try out this trait. And next, we have the Hero Worship trait, which was originally called Unwanted Hero. You've earned the attention of an annoying, adoring fan who will show up randomly and jabber at you incessantly. On the plus side, he'll give you gifts. This one's pretty funny because the pros are a talkative, adoring fan will appear randomly and give you gifts, and then the con is a talkative, adoring fan will appear randomly. And this is the adoring fan from the Starfield Direct, if you remember. So this one's pretty funny because if you constantly want an annoying little fan following you around all over the place, and then he'll also give you gifts, then you should definitely try this one out. But obviously, if you don't want this annoying little shit in your ear all the time, then don't pick this trait. And next we have the Introvert trait. You really need your alone time. You have more endurance when adventuring alone, but less when adventuring with other human companions. Cannot be combined with Extrovert. So this one's literally just the opposite of the Extrovert trait, where it gives you more endurance when you're alone and then less endurance when you're with other human companions. So if you know you're not going to be using companions ever, then you should probably choose this trait. However, I'm probably going to avoid both the Introvert and Extrovert traits because I'll probably be mixing it up a bunch, whether I'm alone or with a companion. Next is the Kid Stuff trait. So this Kid Stuff trait has actually changed. This is an old picture that they're using on this article. I'll just go ahead and read the description here so you understand what I mean. Your parents are alive and well, and you can visit them at their home, but 10% of all the money you earn is deducted automatically and sent to them. So what Bethesda changed here is 10% actually went down to 2%. So originally when they revealed this trait a long time ago, this 10% to me, I immediately was like, no way. Recently in the Q&A with Bethesda, they did say that they were going to use how your character actually looked to determine the looks of your parents if you choose this trait. And they did say there were some special things that would happen if you chose this trait, so I'll probably be trying this one out. So obviously the pros with this trait are you have parents you can go visit whenever you want. Then the cons are you have to give 2% of all your money to them, and that's 2% every week in game. So if you don't mind giving them 2% every week, then you should try this trait out. And next up is the Neon Street Rat trait. You grew up on the mean streets of Neon. You gain access to special dialogue options and better rewards from some missions on Neon. Crime bounty by other factions is greatly increased. Cannot be combined with any other faction allegiance trait. So as we just talked about with the Freestar Collective Settler trait, this one is basically the exact same thing but for Neon. So if you know that you'll be joining a Neon faction such as Ryujin Industries, or you know that you'll be on Neon a lot in your gameplay, then you should probably choose this trait. And next up is the Raise Enlightened trait. Now this is the first religion trait that we're going to see here, and the descriptions for these religion traits have changed, so I'm going to hop over to a different site here to read those real quick. So the description reads, you grew up as a member of the Enlightened. You gain access to a special chest full of items in the House of the Enlightened in New Atlantis, but lose access to the Sanctum Universum chest. So of course with all three of these religion traits, they cannot be combined with each other, so if you choose one, you miss out on the benefits of the other two. And next up we have the Raise Universal trait. You grew up as a member of the Sanctum Universum. You gain access to a special chest full of items in the Sanctum Universum in New Atlantis, but lose access to the House of the Enlightened chest. So this trait is exactly the same as the Raise Enlightened trait, but it's just for Sanctum Universum. And in the Starfield Q&A, we did learn that the Sanctum Universum basically believed that since humans were able to travel beyond Earth into the stars, they believe that God is out there somewhere, and that is essentially their mission, is to find God. But then on the flip side, the Enlightened believe that God is not out there. Basically, humans need to work with each other in order to survive. And with the next religion trait, we have the Serpent's Embrace trait. You grew up worshiping the Great Serpent. Grab jumping provides a temporary boost to health and endurance, but health and endurance are lowered if you don't continue jumping regularly, like an addiction. Cannot be combined with the other religion traits. So this one's pretty interesting here because if you grab jump consistently, it gives you a boost to your health and endurance, but then if you go a certain amount of time without grab jumping, it actually lowers your health and endurance. So if you know that you're going to be traveling a lot and exploring the galaxy a ton, then this trait is definitely for you. And there's some pretty interesting information dropped on the Great Serpent religion in the Starfield Q&A. Basically, the way the story goes is that one person, when they were grab jumping, saw a great serpent and essentially started a whole religion after it. Obviously, there's more to the story, but that's just the quick gist. They definitely seem pretty interesting and pretty cool, so if you're into this Great Serpent religion, then you should definitely try this trait out. Next up, we have the Space trait. Your body has become acclimated to space. Health and endurance are increased when in space, but decreased when on the surface. Cannot be combined with terra firma. So this one's pretty straightforward. When you're in space, you get that increase to your health and endurance, and then when you're on the surface of a planet, you actually get a decrease to your health and endurance. I really don't think this one's a good trait to go with no matter what build you're going for, because I feel like no matter what, you're going to be on planet surfaces a lot during this game, unless for some reason it is like your goal to only be in space while you're playing Starfield. So if that's your goal, then go ahead and try this trait out, but I personally will not be using this trait for sure. And then the terra firma trait that it references, it can't be combined with. We don't have the official description for that one yet, but we can assume that it's just this trait but the exact opposite. So when you're on the surface of a planet, you get an increase to your health and endurance, but then when you're in space, you get a decrease to your health and endurance. I probably won't be going with either of those traits, to be honest, because I assume just naturally you're going to be going between space and surface of planets a lot during your playthrough, so I'd just recommend avoiding those altogether. And then for the two traits, Taskmaster and United Colonies Native, we don't have the description for those yet either. Taskmaster, I honestly have no idea what that could be. However, United Colonies Native, that one is pretty straightforward. We can assume that it's going to be exactly the same as this Freestar Collective Settler trait, but just for the United Colonies. Basically, it'll give you access to special dialogue options and better faction rewards for the United nomadic colonies. But again, that Taskmaster trait, I still just have no idea what that one's going to be. And then last but certainly not least, we have the Wanted trait. This trait we saw in the Starfield Direct trailer, and it gives you a damage buff when your health is low. However, mercenaries will randomly appear and attack you during your gameplay. So this one could be pretty useful here depending on how big that damage buff is, but it also depends how brutal these mercenary attacks are when they drop on you. So if the buff is good and the mercenary attacks aren't too difficult to deal with, then I'd say this trait is a pretty good option to go with. So those are all the traits that we know of so far that'll be in Starfield when the game drops here in just under 2 weeks. I cannot state how hyped I am for this game to drop here. I hope you are just excited for the game as I am. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below which traits you'll be picking when you start playing Starfield. Make sure to check out my channel when Starfield drops. I will be streaming the game when it drops on Thursday, August 31st. Thank you all so much for watching today, and I hope everyone has a good one.